Rina. Height 168 centimeters. Hobbies. I'm interested in indoor gardening. I want to make tea with the herbs I grow. I always enjoy your funny and interesting stories. We should go out somewhere next time in private. Gentleman's Club. Blue Mermaid. Private Manager. Rina. Mamiya. I don't want to see any sweets for at least 3 days. You tried a little too hard, Keiichi-kun. Rena ate a massive amount of desserts too, but her stomach seemed to be just fine. I think girls have 4 stomachs, or at least an extra stomach for dessert. It is very rude of you to say something like that to a lady. This is what you get for being rude. Bam. Ow. Satoko had poked me very hard in my bloated stomach. Stop it. Please don't poke my stomach. I'm going to throw up. Satoko and Rika-chan grinned mischievously upon hearing that. A chill ran up my spine. Why were they smiling like that and walking towards me so gleefully? No, stop it, you cold-blooded demons. Oh ho ho. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Do you really think I'd let it slip away? Meep. Your bloated tummy is in danger, Keiichi. Your big wiggly tummy is so cute. So stop it. No. Rena joined Satoko and Rika-chan in torturing me. We were still making a lot of noise outside the restaurant. I desperately blocked my stomach from their attacks, but someone else hit me from behind. Ow. Who is it? Hello. Nice to see you, Kei-chan, and his funny friends. Oh, Shi-chan. Hello. You weren't at the restaurant today, were you? I'm working night shift today. I just changed after getting here. How can you go outside the restaurant wearing that uniform? What? I'm not embarrassed. I mean, why would she? She looks very, very awesome in that. Especially not since you had to walk around in a way more embarrassing costume the other day. God damn it. I was just getting over it. She had just reminded me that I'll never be able to get married. Anyway, I heard you went crazy in the restaurant today. We did. We had to, since it turned into a club activity, you know. You made a big mess in there. It looks like Sis felt guilty, so she's helping the waitresses clean up the store now. I still think we should help them clean. Oh, don't worry about it. We can't let customers do that. Plus, me made most of that mess. Yeah, that's right. Everybody nodded in agreement. She told me to tell you guys that you don't have to wait for her. You can go home now. No. We're going to wait. Right, everybody? Rena asked for our agreement. Of course, we decided to wait without hesitation. Satoko, Rika-chan, and I all nodded along. Since we can't help her clean, that's the least we can do. While she says we can go home, I'm pretty sure she'd be sad if we really did leave. Wow. Wow! Kei-chan, you grew up. I'm impressed. Haha, you grew up alright. That's because we've been training him well, right? That's correct, Nipa. You girls always band together when it comes to things like this. I hate girls. They get along so easily just because they're girls. In the end, we ended up making a lot more noise, even dragging Shion to the mess this time. Shion, get back in here and help us clean. Where did you put the washcloths? Oh no. I guess I have to go back to work now. Mi-chan, do you think it's going to take a while? What? Why are you still here? Are you waiting for this old man? Don't worry about me, go on home already. Mion looked happy to see us waiting for her, but she always says the opposite of what she thinks. I wonder when she'll grow up and be able to just honestly say thank you. We're friends, remember? We'll wait until you finish up. I wish we could help you. I feel bad. I told you you don't have to wait for me. I'm going to wait for Shion to finish work tonight, then head to her house in Okonomi afterward. So you really don't need to wait for me. I do appreciate it, though. Are you sure? I still feel bad. Yeah, me too, me too. We have enough people, so really, don't worry about it. Go home before it gets too cold. We understand. Me, I hope you can finish cleaning soon. Go for it, yay. Woo! Thanks. Kei-chan. I trust you to escort the ladies home safely. Sorry. No can do, Mi-chan. They're going home with Rena, and I'm not allowed within 100 meters of Rena's place. Bye, Rika. Bye, Satoko. It was nice knowing you. Please protect them from assassins on their way home. Looking around, I didn't see any ladies who needed an escort. I felt more like I was the one who needed protection. Anyway, we said our goodbyes, making it easier for us to end the day and go home. Goodbye, Mi-chan. See you tomorrow. Yep. See you tomorrow. All right. Let's go then. We waved at Mion until she went back inside the restaurant, and after that we all got on our bicycles and left Okonomiya. On the way home we talked about how exciting it had been today, and it looked like everyone was still fired up. We had the horrifying punishment, and the competitive eating competition, which turned into an unprecedented battle involving all the customers in the restaurant, and after that, everything got crazy and messy. At first, the waitresses didn't know what to do, but after a while they ended up joining in. We had a blast. That was wonderful. Did you see what Tomita and Okumura did? How amusing it was. I felt sorry for Kameda and Irie. So did I, but didn't you think my speech was great? Everyone in the restaurant was on my side after that. Keiichi, you might have been somebody really important if you were born in a different era. What? This idiot? He's much too full of himself. An idiot will always remain an idiot, no matter when or where he was born. If he was born 100 years earlier, he might have gotten printed on bills. Money with Keiichi's face on it. How pathetic. They would only be worth 200 or 300 yen at most. Satoko and Rika-chan kept up their continuous chatter. I don't know, it depends on what you view of it. Yes, if you're viewed on a lower denomination, like a $1 bill, yes, the individual bill is worth less, but it is the most common bill you're ever going to see. And everyone's like, you're just poor, Lunar. I'm like, I was a bit tired after the day's events, so I just listened quietly. I noticed the wind was getting colder. Our shadows were getting longer as well. Satoko and Rika-chan still had a lot of energy left. What about Rena? But she'd been very quiet. Maybe she also had a stomachache from eating too much. I looked at Rena to see. However, I was wrong. Rena was... I didn't really know how to describe it. She looked very satisfied. She looked like she really did have that much fun. She looked like she was as happy as she could ever be. I could tell all of that without her saying a word. When I looked at her, it made me realize that the word fun wasn't enough to describe what we did today. Seems like you had a lot of fun. What about you, Keiichi-kun? I had a blast too. I wish we could have had as much fun tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, too. I feel the same way. I wish from the bottom of my heart that the time we spent in the restaurant today would last forever. Wow, that's kind of poetic. Don't you agree, Keiichi-kun? Rena didn't notice that I had made fun of her. I might have been a little tactless. Suddenly, I regretted having said it. I do totally agree with you. But you know something? Today's not the only day that's filled with happiness. A cool wind blew through her hair. She smiled at me, and for some reason she looked very mature. Her appearance made my heart skip a beat. Every single one of our days in Hinamizawa is a wonderful, precious, and irreplaceable day, full of happiness. Including the boring days when our club activities get cancelled. Rena, you think about things in a very mature way. No, I don't. Honestly, I'm still not done playing around yet. Maybe it's just because I'm still excited. Rena laughed, and that made me laugh too. Satoko thought we were laughing because we said bad things about her, and she started bugging me about it. Once again, we made a lot of noise like we always do. Well, Satoko and I are taking this turn here. Rika, why not walk with them a little further and turn where the tobacco store is instead? Did you forget our night light burned out? Without that, it's too dark for us to sleep. Uh-oh, that would be quite the problem. Oh, I see you need to go to Makino-san's general store. Then I guess we'll say goodbye here. You'd better take this turn, or you'd have to go a long way around. Makino-san's general store? Oh, right. That's where it is. If they wanted to make a stop at the store before going back to the shrine, turning here would be the quickest way. Okay then. Bye, Rika-chan. Bye, Satoko. I'll see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Farewell, Keiji-san. Farewell, Rena-san. See you two tomorrow. Bye-bye. Rika-chan and Satoko waved at us many times, then took the narrow path through the field. Once the noisy girls were gone, it went especially quiet all of a sudden. It even made me feel as if the sun had set in an instant. I could see my house by now, which everybody called the Mabara Mansion. I didn't notice it earlier because of how fired up we all were, but my stomach was about to burst. The growling in my gut felt like thunder. My body must have been paying the price for me acting like an idiot earlier. There was no way I was eating dinner that night. I'd need to tell my mom before she started cooking. But before anything, I had to get to the bathroom. Ugh, my stomach was churning. Oh boy, I really didn't sound good. We got to the place where I'd always meet Rena in the morning and say goodbye in the evening. I really did have a lot of fun today. Me too. Are you feeling okay, Keiichi-kun? Nah, my stomach is growling. I guess I just need to get some rest. You need to train your stomach, huh? You ate about as much as I did. How did you fit all of that inside your tiny body? That would be telling. A woman's secret. Rena giggled and tried to avoid giving me an answer. She'd probably hit me if I pressed her about it. If she punched me in the stomach, I'd throw up for sure. So I decided to not go any further. Goodbye, Rena. See you tomorrow. Yes, See you tomorrow. You know, I used to live in the city. Yeah, I never managed to enjoy each and every day like this before. But after moving to hinamizawa, you know, I think I've found happiness. I feel the same way. I moved to hinamizawa a year ago. I can't believe I'm as happy as I am, and spend every day having as much fun as I do. I see. I'm sure tomorrow will be the same. That's right. We had so much fun yesterday and today. So tomorrow will be the same. With all the fun we have every day, I sometimes feel like I'm going to trip and fall sometime, and it kind of scares me, huh? You fall when you fall, no matter how careful you are. That's why I believe we have to enjoy every moment as much as we can. You're right. We gotta enjoy every day as much as we can. Well, it's probably time to go. Please, say hi to your parents for me. Well, I still have a lot of energy left, how? So I'm going to go treasure hunting. What are you... Are you going there now? You sure are resilient. I'm impressed. What about you? Would you like to come along? I found a new trash pile that I haven't dug up yet. Retta, I am about to explode. It would be fun to go with you. But bathroom, I have to go to the bathroom first. So how about this, Retta? I would like to spend time with you. So, first, walk with me home. You can talk to my mom while I, shit my brains out. I'm gonna drink a little water. And then before we go to the junkyard, I'm gonna stop by the clinic, and Dr. Erie can give us both tetanus shots. Okay? And then we'll go have fun. I might find something totally cute in there. I'm sorry, but I gotta pass. Besides, it looks like a storm's brewing. I think you should go straight home, too. How? I usually find something cute when I've had a wonderful day like today, so I'm going there just for a few minutes. I felt sick enough that I didn't feel like going with her. If I felt better, I would have gone treasure hunting with her for sure. She didn't want to go home yet because she didn't want the fun day to end. That's exactly how I felt too. I understand. Bye then. I hope you can find something cute. Yep. Thank you. Bye-bye. Keiichi-kun waved over and over as if he didn't want to say goodbye yet. But after a while, he was gone. Well, I had to go too because I was going to go treasure hunting. I love cute things. I had such a wonderful day today that I'm sure I'm going to get lucky at treasure hunting. I definitely will find some wonderful treasures. I pedaled my bicycle with determination. My house was nearby, but I took another street that led to the damn construction site. It might have been okay to go home just then, but I hesitated to go since I didn't want to be seen. I had so much fun today, and I wanted to continue feeling happy as long as I could. It was already getting late, but I felt like it was getting dark faster than usual. Just like Keiichi-kun said, these clouds in the sky were growing darker. It might start raining hard, but that doesn't mean I have to go home already. Stop it, Rena. You had so much fun today. You have to stay happy as long as you can. I'm happy. I enjoy every day. Rena, say it. Say the magical words. How? Don't be embarrassed. You're not dumb or anything. I might be able to enjoy every day, even more if I were dumb. If so, dumb is what I'd want to be. How? I'm going to find something so cute. and take it home with me. There, I said it. I'm sure I can find something cute. As long as I believe it's kawaii, cute, anything can be that way. I should fill my heart with happy memories of today and yesterday. I should look forward to the happiness I'm going to receive tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, too. I reached the damn construction site. A mountain of trash loomed before me. I parked my bicycle and walked down the mountain of trash and scrap. This place is my castle. It would be incredible if anyone else came to this mountain of trash. I've come here so many times and I usually stay for a long while, but I've never seen anybody else walk by. This place is the village's blind spot. I heard that many people came here all the time during the dam wars, but it was abandoned after that. The villagers no longer need to come here, and some people even forgot about it entirely. It seems that they dump trash here at midnight, but I have seen a truck actually dumping trash, at least. If they dumped new trash more often, it'd give me more time to kill. But it looks like it's not going to happen for a while. I walked down the slope of the trash pile all the way to the bottom and headed behind another pile. Nobody ever comes here. I've come here so many times, and I usually stay for a long while, but nobody has ever come to mess up this place. Not even the other kids from my school come here. They all believe that the arm of the manager of the construction site is buried somewhere in the trash piles, and they also believe the whole place is haunted. They told me that a ghost with one arm still wanders around here, looking for his missing limb. Sadly, I haven't seen the ghost either. I'm not scared. In fact, I'd rather like to meet him. I wouldn't mind helping him find his arm. If he's feeling lonely, I'd want him to be my conversation partner. There's a station wagon buried in the trash pile. It doesn't have tires, but other than that, it still looks like a station wagon. I kind of feel like if you guys found a lament configuration, but the equivalent for lunar D8, you know how like the lament configuration is like a little cube, and you solve the puzzle cube, and you bring like Pinhead from like the Hellraiser movies, and well, it's not a movie containing large amounts of wholesomeness. That's the best way to describe the Hellraiser series. Same as Nightmare on Elm Street and many of those other movies like that, it is a movie series containing a very stark, almost non-existent amount of wholesomeness. And I would dare say there is nothing kawaii. Nothing moe at all. Whereas I feel if you had a lament configuration that summoned lunar D8, you'd basically have to deal with an autistic person trying to explain trains and math to you. Talk about various video games and anime. I would also probably show up with a bunch of stuffed animals and plushies. Give you some ice cold Pepsi and be like, hey, here's a piping hot Pizza Hut pizza with stuffed crust. And I would also make inappropriate jokes. And there'd be bunnies. Also air conditioning. And hot cocoa. You know, you're not going to drink the Pepsi hot cocoa once. Just saying, you can have a choice. Ice cold Pepsi or hot cocoa. Or some water. Water's good too. Just saying, you know, you solve the puzzle and Lunar D8 shows up and I throw like a blahaj at you. You know, like a little stuffed shark thing or a teddy bear. So it's like, you know, like Talia like surprises orcs and like stabs them to death. I'd like, instead of like doing a stealth kill, I'd like to show up behind you and like hand you a manga and give you a stuffed animal. Did you guys know that Volume 17 of the Overlord light novel should be coming out this month? Volume 18 should be the ending of the series. Probably come out in 2029. Reincarnated as a slime and Overlord are both supposed to be fully ended as shows and the stories to their conclusions before 2030 even rolls around. The station wagon. There's a station wagon buried in the trash pile. It doesn't have tires, but other than that it still looks like a station wagon. The station wagon is my secret hideout. Unfortunately, the sliding door and rear doors don't open. So whenever I want to get in, I have to enter from the car from the passenger seat and crawl into the back from there. Of course, I take off my shoes as the passenger seat. When you look at it from outside, it's just a dirty abandoned car. But on the inside, it's nice and clean because I had swept it out and decorated a little bit. It's filled with stuffed animals. This is both adorable and sad. There probably are no video games or anime out there that combine those two subjects. Depression and cuteness. That took me a long time. The back seats are lying flat because I wanted to have as much space as possible. I found a mattress in the trash pile and put it into that space instead. It was a bit dirty, so I brought a bedsheet from home and covered the mattress with it. I put my favorite cushions on top, and with that, it turned into the perfect bed. I have put cushions and stuffed animals everywhere. That's not all. Look at this. I have a bunch of sweets here, too. I have a bag of fruit candy in 4 different colors and some cookies, but they're going bad. I'll have to throw them away. My bear-shaped water bottle was empty. When I come here to spend time on Sundays, I usually bring this water bottle with some sweetened tea in it. I have a box of tissues, a flashlight, extra batteries, and other daily necessities in here. I also have a few books to read in order to kill some time while I'm at it. And I have this. What do you think? This is... It's a letter opener. Look! Ta-da! My hideout is suddenly lit up thanks to the table lamp. There is an electric outlet on the side of the old nearby construction office. I'd thought they'd have cut the power years ago, but to my surprise, I was wrong. Electricity is still being supplied to the outlet. When I found tons of extension cords, I came to the idea to connect them all and make the electricity come all the way out to my hideout. Now I can spend time here comfortably with some sweets, books, and lights. If I wanted to, I might be able to spend a night here. But I might catch a cold since it's very cold at night. Ha ha ha. See? This is a very nice hideout, isn't it? At first I thought somebody would find it and mess with it. But that hasn't happened so far. That's because nobody comes here and everybody forgot about this place. That's how this place became my perfect secret hideout. Fortunately, I ate so much today that I'm still full. I can tell them that I was playing with my friend at her house and ate dinner there. I'm going to stay here for a while and relax. I'm going to treat myself. I loved the water gun battle yesterday. My heart had been pounding when I fought one-on-one with Keiichi-kun. I also had great fun at Angel Mode today. I had never experienced such a crazy game with so many people in my life. I was still feeling the after effects, and I was sure I'd have a dream about it tonight. That was why. I wanted to bask in these happy feelings. That was why I'm going to treat myself in here. I should take off my shoes and stretch my toes. I should cherish the time when I can be myself. Once I took off my shoes, I felt so relaxed that I didn't want to put them on again. I played all day today and I was very tired. The treasure hunt could wait. As it got darker, the light of the table lamp became encouraging. It really was getting dark, faster than usual. All of a sudden I heard the sound of raindrops hitting the roof of the car. Pitter-patter. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter. The interval between drops got shorter and shorter. When it became a continuous sound, I began to hear thunder. Even though it was raining heavily, it remained very quiet inside the car, making me feel like I was in a different world. It's my castle, after all. There's an Ozzy Osbourne song. Castles in the Sky, Thunder Underground, or something like that. I feel like I get the impression that Rena would have liked to listen to some Ozzy Osbourne and some Black Sabbath. I feel like right now it'd be pretty cool if I was Keiichi-kun and I had gone and hung out with Rena, and me and her were just chilling and relaxing in this car, listening some music. Granted, we'd have the music turned down a little bit, that we can actually still talk and have conversations. Maybe we'd play some Magic the Gathering or something. I'm here alone, under the warm blanket that has my scent. I felt a bit cold, so I unfolded my big blanket and hid under it. Even though nobody knew where I was at the moment, and I feel like I was left alone in the heavy rain, I still feel secure and free from anxiety for some reason. I felt like this heavy rain was keeping my enemies away from my castle, and I liked it that way. This place is full of small happiness. It's full of my favorite things. That's why I'm happy whenever I'm here. When I put another blanket over me, I felt as warm as if I were in bed. I listened to the soothing sounds of raindrops hitting the scrap iron and the trash heaps, and it made me feel sleepy. This is a castle of trash. This trash came here because nobody wanted it. This is where it lives. This is a country where unwanted refuse lives together. I felt like I fit in here. But at the same time, I knew it was just a temporary place for me, as there's somewhere I had to go back to. No. I shouldn't think about things like that. Whenever I realize that I don't belong here, I remember I'm in the middle of a very dirty pile of trash. I should just doze for a little bit longer. Thinking is poisonous. I wanted to keep myself out of that poison, so that the kind Rena within me could stay pure. A little bit longer. Just a little bit longer. And I closed my eyes. My mother was a very busy woman. The harder she worked, the more her work was valued, and she kept getting promoted. She sought to go higher and higher. She was always shining, and she was my hero. My mother started her career as a fashion designer at a small clothing factory in Okonomiya. My father was a designer too. They met through their jobs and soon got married. They lived in a small apartment in Okonomiya, but they moved to my grandma's house, our current house in Hinamizawa, when she got pregnant with me. We lived there until right before I went to elementary school. Now that I think about it, that was the happiest time of my life. I felt happy every day, and believed without a doubt that tomorrow would be the same. I was so happy that I took it for granted and didn't even feel the happiness. I really did feel happy every day. I was small at that time. I didn't really understand what was going on, but it seemed like the company my parents were working at was having financial difficulties. So my mother and a few other young designers started talking about leaving the company and going independent. After many things happened and the situation grew complicated, they got an offer to work at a big design firm in Ibaraki, and they took the offer. At that time, I heard my mother saying many difficult words like limited partnership and business alliance, but in short, what she wanted to do was move to Ibaraki. My mother and her peers were hired because their talent and experience made them immediate assets at their new company. However, my father wasn't one of them. Unfortunately, my father wasn't as talented as my mother was, so moving to Ibaraki meant that my father had to give up being a fashion designer. My mother's new company had high expectations of her talent and promised her a responsible project. She didn't want to waste her growing talent and passion by living in a rural town like Hinamizawa, so my mother convinced my father to quit his job and move to Ibaraki to support her and to help her build her career. Back then, moving meant that I had to say goodbye to my close friends. I didn't want to move, and I kept crying about it. After we moved to Ibaraki, my mother was a big success. Not only did she have great leadership skills, but she was full of energy, and I believe she made the best use of her talents to succeed. She came home late every night and barely had any days off, and when she had a big project, she often stayed entire nights at her office. But when she came home, she always looked fulfilled and wore a happy smile that she had never worn when she was in hinamizawa. She was shining, and I remember I always wanted to shine like her when I grew up. On the other hand, my father wasn't doing well. He couldn't find a job as a fashion designer, so he took a clerical job at a small company. But he kept changing positions. He couldn't use the experience he had cultivated, and it was very hard for him. But he was very understanding. He started to take care of things around the house for my mother, who got busier and busier, having one project after another. He cleaned the house, did the laundry, and came to my school events. However, he couldn't cook. He did cook rice, but always bought side dishes from the grocery store. We ate dinner without my mother more and more often. I guess she's busy again. Every time I said that, he always told me, "Your mother was working very hard, so let's support her, Raina." That was what he always told me. I decided to help my father with the cooking. I thought it was a good idea to learn how to cook since he wasn't good at it. Whenever my mother cooked, I helped her and tried to learn how to cook from her. She apologized for not having enough time to cook for us, but she was happy that I was learning. I think I wrote in my school yearbook that I wanted to be a clothing designer in the future just like my mother, but apparently I lacked my mother's exceptional sense of style. She used to tell me taste is something that you were born with, not something that you cultivate. I remember I was discouraged to be a designer because of that. That was why I decided to reach her by getting better at things she wasn't so good at, instead of trying to be like her. I wanted to be good, not only at cooking, but also at doing things around the house, such as cleaning, doing the laundry, grocery shopping. I remember my father was really happy that I did all that for him, because he wasn't good at it at all. He couldn't find a job and spent a lot of time at home, so he seemed to enjoy spending time doing the housework with his daughter more than anything. I started to become better and better at filling in for my mother, and she started to get too busy to do any of the housework at all, and she moved on to a more responsible position at her job. She took me out to many places as if to compensate for leaving me alone all the time. She used to say, "Let's go eat something delicious without telling your father," and took me out to a restaurant. She took me to high-class restaurants and amusement parks. Sometimes it was only me and my mother. Sometimes it was with her friends from work. She took me to a beach barbecue one summer with those friends. I was introduced as her daughter, and every one of them pampered me. I still remember there was one guy who was particularly doted on me. He was a good-looking young man. I called him Uncle once, and he got mad at me, who was nicely tanned with dyed brown hair. This young man often came with us when we went out. Is anybody else thinking what I'm thinking? Maybe I just listen to too much Raging Golden Eagle and Replicant Fish and Kersha and Smugglana and Asmongold. Surely the reasons why she was, at work more hours, and I'm sure she was actually at work, actually working, and not other things. When my mother took me somewhere, she usually made several phone calls for her work during the day, and sometimes she took me out to a place where she could also do her work at the same time. So I didn't feel awkward when people from her work came with us. But I always preferred to be alone with her, so I was happier when we could do that. One day, she took me to a very high-end part of town. Of course, she always spoiled me whenever we went out. She bought me things and let me eat whatever I wanted, but she especially spoiled me on that day. She took me to many expensive-looking boutiques and accessory stores. She was about to buy me something, but I told her not to get it because it didn't look good on me. Without hesitation, she bought it anyway. I remember there were many zeros on the price tag. On that day, I realized my mother's design work had made her a very successful woman, and she was earning a lot of money. We took a break at a ridiculously expensive-looking restaurant that probably charged 1,000 yen for a glass of orange juice. And keep in mind, this was back in the fucking 80s. This is 1983. So we can all assume there was a little bit of inflation since then. My mother clapped her hands and spoke to me with a smile on her face. She asked, "Raina, would you like to make your dream come true?" When I was in kindergarten, my teacher gave students a topic. To draw a picture of the topic was my dream, and I drew myself eating a mountain of fruit parfait all by myself. What my mother meant to say was that she was going to make that dream come true for me. It was a normal day. It wasn't my birthday or anything. But since my mother always spoiled me when we went out together, I didn't feel awkward about it at all, and I accepted her offer with a happy smile. There were 5 or 6 fruit parfaits in front of me. I remember it looked exactly like the world I drew, and I felt like I was floating in that dream world. It was too much for us to finish, but we dug our spoons into it as if we were playing in the mud, and we really enjoyed eating it together. It was my first time to experience getting full by eating only fruit parfaits, and I remember I was very happy. I enjoyed tasting the happiness and chatting with my mother. Raina-chan, do you remember the man who went to the movie and had dinner with us last time? Are you talking about Uncle Akihito? How? Though I can't call him that, or he's going to hit me. What was that last part, Raina? Raina-chan, do you like Akihito-san? I hate him. He always teases me. That's because he likes you. You got along well with him at the barbecue. Well, I get along with him every now and then. Every now and then. My mother laughed. I didn't know why she brought up the subject, but I didn't really pay attention to it because I was too young. Now that I think about it, she was breaking the news. I just didn't notice it. Raina-chan, who do you like better? Your father or me? You. It wasn't that I hated my father or anything, but I thought giving her that answer was appropriate after she spoiled me so much. If I said I'm going to live in another house away from your father, which of us would you like to live with? I'm thinking about divorcing your father and getting married to Akihito-san. At that time, my mother was a very successful woman. I didn't know this at the time, but she was drafted by a headhunter to work at a bigger company, where she was promoted to a higher and more responsible position one where she could bring out the most of her talent. Of course, the position wasn't the only thing she gained. Compared to my father's low salary, my mother was earning enough money to support a family of 3 and still have some left over. I'd kind of realized it from the way she spent money. The greater position she achieved, the more she spent time with people at her level. All of them were bright and talented. Compared to them, my father might have looked unattractive to her. I liked Uncle Akihito, but I liked him as one of my mother's friends, not in the same way I liked my father. I liked my father and mother equally, so it was very shocking to me that my mother wanted to divorce him. I felt as if the ground below me was beginning to crack. That expression, I realized, actually fit my situation very well. I had to choose which side of the cracked ground I wanted to stand on. My mother told me to live with her at her new house. Her new house meant that Uncle Akihito lived in. I thought a house was a sanctuary for a family. I believed that a house was a holy place where strangers couldn't easily enter. That was why I couldn't believe her. How could she let a stranger invade such a holy place so easily? Why do you hate my father? My mother looked down and didn't answer. I asked her another question. Why can't you stay with my father? I think that was the hardest and most heartbreaking of all questions for my mother to answer. In short, my mother had cheated on him. She loved another man who was more attractive than my father. It was just that, and nothing more. I knew more than anybody that it wasn't my father's fault. First of all, he decided to move from hinamizawa to support my mother as much as he could. For him, nothing good had come from that. Actually, I think he had a very tough time since we moved to Ibaraki. But he volunteered to be her support and tried very hard to do that. I thought my mother appreciated his support. So, I took her decision as a betrayal. Because it is. I told her that I disagreed with everything, including their divorce. I said it very loudly, and made everybody in the store jump. Sure, continue your relationship with Uncle Akihito, but don't divorce my father. I feel bad for him. I feel terrible for him. He has been doing nothing but support you patiently this whole time. How could you do such a cruel thing to him? I screamed as loud as I could. Then my mother answered. It's too late. Why? You haven't talked with my father about this, have you? It's not too late. I was about to say, what, did condoms not get invented by then? But the music died, so I don't think music was invented by the 80s either. Everyone's like, that joke doesn't even make sense. You know what will make sense? Rena's mental breakdown. In 3, 2, 1. I'm pregnant. I don't know whether my mother actually told him about the divorce in person. A middle-aged woman who called herself a lawyer came to the house several times to talk to my father on my mother's behalf. She sometimes called him too. My father begged the lawyer to let him speak directly to my mother many times, but it never happened. I could tell by the way they talked that he had no clue when my mother told him she wanted a divorce. Well, again, I'm not even sure if she told him in person. The lawyer told him not to meet my mother, not to call her at work, and many other things too. To top it all off, she told him not to see my mother ever again. He wanted to talk to her, He called some of their mutual friends, but he only found out the name of the guy she was having an affair with and nothing more. Well, guys, I didn't know we were having the red pill episode. The 80s, a time where the idea of people... I'm just saying. This is not an emotionally good thing for Rena's father or for Rena. But then again, usually betrayal is a bad thing. He asked me, "Do you know the guy?" I told him, "I do." I also told him that he was a funny guy and had given me candy many times. I'll never forget how he looked when I told him that. He hit me for the first time. He hit me so hard that his handprints stayed on my cheek for a while. Then he fell on the floor and cried loudly. And then I started to cry too. I didn't cry because he hit me. Uncle Akihito was kind to me. So I liked him and talked to him out of courtesy. No, that wasn't it. Girls had to be kind to everybody. That's what I thought, but I was wrong. I learned in this world that there are people you should be nice to, and enemies you shouldn't be nice to. The enemies are the ones who would destroy my life with their very existence. Whether they mean to harm me or not doesn't matter. They're like weeds growing in a flower bed. Dandelions are innocent, but they take all of the nutrition from the tulips, from the soil. That's why we have to pull them out. The dandelions did nothing wrong, but they're the enemy. Enemies are bad people. That guy was a bad person. I shouldn't have accepted him. I should have rejected him with everything I had. By doing so, I might have been able to disrupt the relationship. By doing so, I might have been able to make my mother feel like their relationship was not going to work. Not your fault, Rena. It's never a child's fault that a divorce happens. Certainly somebody's fault, but it's not the child's fault. If I tried to do so, my parents wouldn't have had to break up. My father and I cried together, but we cried for different reasons. He must have cried because it happened so fast and didn't make any sense to him. I cried because I regretted that I let it happen when I had the chance to prevent it. My father stroked my cheek and opened his mouth to apologize, but he couldn't speak and just cried with me. One day, the lawyer let me see my mother. My mother asked me to live with her at her house again. I didn't know what to say, so I just kept looking down and listened to her apologies. My father knew that I was going to see my mother on that day, so he handed me a letter and told me to give it to her. I don't know what he wrote in that letter, but for some reason I was able to imagine what kinds of things he wrote when I felt it through the envelope. After all, the letter inside the envelope had a rough surface. He must have been crying while writing the letter, and his tears made the letter all wrinkled when it dried. My mother took the letter from me, told me that she'd read it later, and was about to put it in that she'd read it later. I stopped her and told her to read it there. I wanted to see how she was going to take the last words that my father had left to her. But my mother didn't read it. She told me she wanted to read it alone later, and she put it in her bag. At that time, I realized, no, it was more than that. I should say, I knew, because it was so obvious. I knew that my mother was lying. She had no intention of reading my father's letter. She was going to throw it away after I was gone, but she lied just because she wanted to seem like a nice person in front of me. The slight curl in her eyebrows and lips told me that more clearly than anything else. At that moment, I finally knew something else. The guy she was having an affair with wasn't the only bad person. My mother was also a bad person. Since that moment, The existence of my mother disappeared from my world, like dry ice evaporating. I didn't have to hesitate about whom to live with anymore. I don't want to go to your house. The Ryugu house is my home. I don't want to see you anymore. Please don't even call me. But Raina, if you live with your father, you won't have... At that moment I hated my name. For the first time in my life. Please, don't call me Raina ever again. I have to go now. Goodbye. Those were my last words to my mother. No, not to the woman who used to be my mother. After that I spent many days without feeling anything. I didn't know if the days were long or short. I didn't know which season I was living in. It was supposed to be nothing out of the ordinary not having my mother around. But every time my father saw things that reminded him of her, like her toothbrush, her teacup, or her favorite books, he shed tears which left me frustrated. That's why I decided to completely remove her belongings from the house. I roughly threw her things into a black trash bag. I started to do so frantically. By the time I knocked down her wardrobe, threw her music box hard on the floor, and broke her mirror, my mind was already not working properly. When I try to remember what happened after that, I feel disoriented. That's... because the pills the doctor gave me back then made me feel disoriented and lethargic every time I took them. It seems that dullness hit me especially hard, since every time I try to remember that time, it makes me feel disoriented and lethargic, just like the pills made me feel. I destroyed everything that smelled like my mother. But the thing I wanted to destroy the most might have been myself. Even after I threw all of her belongings away, I still couldn't stop feeling regret. And I decided to blame myself in the end. Maybe I was thinking that I wanted to do damage to her reputation and successful life by destroying her daughter, destroying myself. When I was about to reach that very last resolution, Oyashiro-sama came to me. Oyashiro-sama told me to go back to Hinamizawa. Yes, all of this was because of his curse. Oyashiro-sama brought a curse upon the Ryugu family because we broke his rule and abandoned Hinamizawa. After I figured that out, everything started to make sense to me. All the crazy things that happened after my mother was gone. The curse of Oyashiro-sama did all of that to us. It was Oyashiro-sama's voice that was telling us to come back to Hinamizawa. That's right. We should have stayed in Hinamizawa. Everything went crazy because we moved. We had to go back to Hinamizawa. I started to feel disoriented again, and a dull pain ran through my head. It might be a scream from within me telling me not to push myself too hard to remember any further. The house where we used to live in Hinamizawa was still there. My grandma already passed away, and the house was the only property she left for us. I remember that I used to live in Hinamizawa, but all I remembered was that it was a village that I used to live in until right before I went to elementary school. I remembered the atmosphere of the village too, but that was all I remembered. I forgot the streets, and even the names of close friends I used to play with. The neighbors knew that the son of the deceased woman had come back divorced, but they didn't know us, and we didn't know them. so it was almost like we moved to a new place. However, as far as I was concerned, it still was my home town that I had come back to. At first, everything was inconvenient compared to life in Ibaraki, and it was hard for both of us to adjust. But we renovated the old house, and it was only me and my father. Life here seemed to make my father forget his pain from the divorce. Mi-chan was very kind to me, and I started to get used to my new life too. I did everything around the house, and we gradually went back to a time when we used to live happily. Anybody can live a happy life. People sometimes say that some people were born to be unhappy, but I believe that's just an excuse for people who don't even want to try. I won't give in to fate. I'll never give up trying to recapture the happy times that I lost. I'm going to become happy to the point where I don't even feel the happiness anymore. I'm not going to cry anymore. I'll never cry again. I used up all of my tears. On that night my father hit me. The curse of OYASHIRO-sama is over because we came back to hinamizawa. So I'm going to have a happy life from now on. All of a sudden, big raindrops hit the roof of the car, and I recovered my senses. It was still raining hard. It had already gotten dark outside. The shadows the table lamp created were very dark, and it looked as if there's nothing else around me. If I turned off this light, would everything in this world disappear? I turned off the light. Darkness swallowed me, but the cold air and the sound of the rain didn't change a bit, and that made me realize I was still in this world. The curse of OYASHIRO-sama. Did the curse of OYASHIRO-sama do those crazy things to my family? Or did I convince myself it did as an excuse for myself because I didn't want to feel guilty about the divorce? Sometimes I'm not sure. Since that time, OYASHIRO-sama hasn't come to me. I sometimes feel like it was a delusion I created because I was mentally ill. But he did come at that time. I'm sure about that. Am I right, OYASHIRO-sama? I was unhappy after I left hinamizawa, but I came back, and I'm happy now. But where am I supposed to go now that I'm unhappy in hinamizawa? Where? Stop it, Rena. Don't think that you're unhappy. I am happy. I will be happy. I can definitely be happy. Suddenly I felt that if this darkness swallowed me, I'd never be able to be happy again. I found the switch of the table lamp and turned it back on. When I looked at the clock, it was already past 11 p.m. I had to go home. I wouldn't have time to prepare my lunch for tomorrow. At least I'd have to set the timer on the rice cooker. It didn't look like the rain was going to stop anytime soon. I looked out of the window to see the rain, but could only see my reflection. I talked to that reflection in the window. I'm glad I'm so glad that my father's happy. He had been acting like he was dead for a long time. The smile on his face is a good sign that he's regaining his former happy life. He became miserable because of me. That's why I don't mind doing things for him until he regains his smile and we become truly happy. When I stay here alone for a while, it gives him some time to be alone with her. Plus, I don't have to fake a smile. But then, my reflection in the window tells me, Rena, you're such a good girl. You're kind to everybody and love them equally. You can make anybody like you. But did you forget something? In this world, there are people you should be kind to and enemies that you have to reject with all you've got. I thought you learned that lesson. No, don't listen to her. My reflection is always mean. She always says mean things, and makes fun of my worries. But she always tells me things that I can't say myself. Let's go home, Rena. To your home. Forget about the mean Rena in the mirror. I was a bit hungry by then. After all the desserts I ate, I still got hungry. I almost forgot. Rina-san bought me a shortcake. I've never had a shortcake from Angel Mort, but I bet it'll taste good. I'd have to give my thanks to Rina-san the next time I see her. Rina-san speaks in a way that makes it very clear how she grew up, but I'm sure she's a good person. That's because she's so good to my father. I did everything I could to make my father smile, but I failed. On the other hand, Rina-san can put a big smile on his face so easily. I have to thank Rina-san. I have to thank her for cheering up my father. But I don't know why. I just don't like her perfume. Don't call me Rina. Remnants of the past.